Good morning, Bucknutters. It's Tuesday, June 11th, 2024. I am Dan Rubin. This is the Bucknuts Morning 5 and Change. Excuse me. Great show planned for you today. We're going to get knee-deep in Cruton. We got the people here to do it. But first, Father's Day is almost here. So are you struggling to find the perfect gift for the man who has everything? The solution is simple. Give him the unforgettable experience of Omaha Steaks. Because a world-class dad deserves a world-class steak. The Father's Day experts at Omaha Steaks have made it easy to put a smile on the big guy's face with hand-selected gift packages starting at just $99. And when you use the promo code Bucknuts at checkout, you get $10 off your order. With Omaha Steaks, the possibilities are endless flavor, endless variety, and endless value. Truly, they have perfected more than steak, and your dad is guaranteed to love every bite. Pick from premium proteins like the juicy pork chops, air-grilled chicken, and beefy burgers. Time is running out. Don't wait till the last minute. Visit omahasteaks.com today and shop packages, starting at just $99. And when you use my promo code Bucknuts at checkout, you'll get an additional $10 off. Order now before it's too late. Speaking of on time, you notice we're getting going a little early today. We usually go at 9. We posted this heads up last night that we'll be going at 8:30, so we hope those of you who wanted to be here live and in person are here. We've got the Dean, Bill Kurelic, and the Grand Poobah, Mark Porter here. Gentlemen, let's start with a quick chat about what has taken place. Bill, Ohio State added elite safety Fahim Delane out of the fine area, Good Counsel, Olney, Maryland. I kind of felt they would get him all the time, Bill, I have to say, when I heard it was Ohio State versus Oregon. How did you feel about it? How do you feel about it now? What does he mean to the class and all that good stuff? Mark has actually done a commitment evaluation on him, and we'll throw that up here in a minute. But, Bill, take the seat for us.
Well, I don't think it was any shock that he committed to Ohio State. I think most people felt like Ohio State could and probably would win that battle. And they did. For quite some time, he's had Ohio State either number one or at least one of the top schools on his list. And, there was some talk about that Oregon could maybe steal him away from the Buckeyes. But in the end, that didn't happen. And, again, it's not a huge surprise, but it is certainly great news for Ohio State. He is one of the country's top safeties. In fact, he's the number 2 safety in the country. So now they've got Fahim Delane, the number 2 safety in the country. They got the top 2 cornerbacks in the country. They've also got Cody Haddad from Cleveland, who I think is a great prospect. I think the only question with him was he wasn't healthy during his junior season. And then Deshaun Stewart. So, they've got a tremendous backfield already, secondary already, and they're not done yet. So that was absolutely huge for Ohio State to get him in the fold. And, credit Matt Guerrieri there. Fahim Delane really liked Perry Eliano a lot. They had a great relationship. And credit Perry Eliano for getting that started, too. Perry, of course, is now taking the job at Toledo. But then when Perry left, that's kind of when some people started to wonder, is Fahim still going to go to Ohio State? But Matt Guerrieri didn't really miss a beat, developed a relationship with Fahim and closed the deal. So great job by Matt Guerrieri.
All right, Mark, Fahim Delane, Good Counsel, Olney, Maryland. You did a review of him. You had him down. It would come down to Trey McNutt and Fahim for top safety in the state if he was in Ohio. Show him here as a return guy. But you said Fahim because of his upside. Take it away.
Yeah, his upside because he's 6'2.5", which means he is about as long as it gets for playing safety. His long speed and his burst, you see him off the edge there, are second to none. Trey McNutt maybe had more corner skills to him, and Fahim's maybe the more polished tackler, maybe the guy that comes down the box and hits you a little bit. You see him at linebacker right here to show off what I'm just saying, the physical and the toughness here. When he comes off the edge with that speed, boy, that's blinding. He's into the backfield before they can get the handoff off a couple times here. I mean, that's 3-4 yards deep. I mean, pretty special the way he's getting there. But he's, a little bit of a hybrid. I think someone in the comments said he's like Sean Taylor, who just needs a training table. I'd go with that. I would say that type of player is who we want. But Sean Taylor was a 6'2" safety who came up and hit you. So you're seeing those skills from the linebacker position. No problem coming downhill like his hair's on fire and putting a thump on people. So what you have here is a big-time tackling safety. Cody Haddad, his specialty was in the box, being physical, sticking people. Delane's got a little more speed over the top here, and he comes up and does the same type of damage and run support and when he's putting the shoulder on receivers. But, wow, to have this much size, and, of course, you'll see his corner skills out there when he's lined up a corner. But, yeah, Trey McNutt was a little more shifty, a little more cornery. This is more safety, more physical. I'm happy we got Delane. He's going to fit in well in that secondary.
There were some questions about quality of competition and stuff. Good Counsel played one of the toughest schedules in the country last year. I think they were in the senior class, not his class. I think they were one of the few teams that had 4 top 100 guys in their class, guys going to big-time schools. In Delane's sophomore year, they beat Caleb Williams in the conference semifinals, and he was the first pick in the draft a couple years later. So he's seen good competition.
Yeah, Trey McNutt's the type of safety you'd roll down on your slot receiver and say, okay, now you have him man-to-man, take him. Delane seems like the guy when you roll down, he's in the box to do some damage in the run game. But it's not like they don't do, conversely, the other things, cover and stuff. It's just what they're showing up on tape right now is their specialty.
All right, Bill. What do you want to talk about now? You want to go over the visitors for today? Do we need to hear about some visits that took place? I'm going to give you control of the microphone.
Well, I think we could kind of take a little more look back at the weekend that just was. Because I think this could end up being a really, really good weekend for Ohio State. It has the great start with the commitment of Fahim Delane. But, when you look at Quincy Porter from New Jersey, he is a wide receiver Ohio State absolutely wants. They did extremely well with him this past weekend. I think going into it, he maybe favored Michigan slightly, maybe. I think coming out of it, Ohio State is the favorite. But, I always say, let things settle down a little bit when kids come out of an official visit. If they don't commit right away and they're going to take more visits, let's kind of see what happens here. And as of right now, that's what Quincy Porter is planning to do. He's planning to go to Michigan this weekend for an official visit. He also has Oklahoma for the 21st. And he told me after the Ohio State visit that that was his plan, to go ahead and take those 2 visits. So now it's kind of on Michigan to win back the momentum. Will they do it? We'll see this weekend. But they will have him on campus unless he has a change of heart and decides to not make that visit and commit to Ohio State. But again, he hasn't indicated he's going to do that, so you got to get through that. But they did very well with Quincy Porter. You go to the offensive linemen. I think they did well with all 3, Jackson Lloyd, Javon McFadden, and Andrew Stargell. I think right now Ohio State leads. In fact, I know they do because he told me so, for Javon McFadden. Stargell, tough one to say. They're looking at 3 centers, Stargell, and Jake Cook from Westerville North, as well as Caden Strayhorn from Bradenton IMG. And Stargell had a great visit. He told me it was amazing, but he wants to go through the process and announce his decision on his birthday, July 4th, interestingly enough. So does that open the door for Jake Cook? Maybe it does. We'll see. But in the case of Jackson Lloyd, I think Alabama and Ohio State are the 2 front runners, but I worry a little bit about USC. He's still going to make an official visit there. But certainly I think they could land 2, if not all 3 of those offensive linemen, but more than likely 1 or 2, I think, in the end. On the defensive side of the ball, Trajan Odom, Ohio State's a school to beat for him now. In fact, he told me so. Oregon is the competition there, but I like Ohio State in that one. Damian Shanklin's harder to predict. He had a great visit to LSU last weekend, but he had a great visit this weekend to Ohio State. he's planning to, as of now, take his other visits. So really, they could come away, I think, when all is said and done from this weekend, with 4, maybe 5 commitments from this weekend. And then they had the 3 kids that already committed to Ohio State. We talked about Haddad. He made his official visit. Eli Lee made his official visit. And Desai Jones made his official visit. All 3 of those kids are very solid commitments to Ohio State.
Mark, let's take a look at Quincy Porter. That's a guy that everyone wants to take a look at here. And receivers, kind of a high bar.
Yeah, this is not Grand Poobah Jr. I am not related to Quincy Porter here. I would definitely adopt him if he wanted to. I have no problem there. But, yeah, what you're seeing here is when we talk about receivers for Ohio State, we've said Coach Hartline likes the 5'10", 5'11" guy. But he does venture outside of that, frame there, where this player right here, Quincy, is, I think, 6'3", 6'4", and you can see the length on film. He fills more of the Jackson Smith and the Jigba type role, or maybe even the J.J. Smith role or Marvin Harrison type role, where he's got that red zone ability, high point ability, 50-50 ball ability. But that doesn't mean he can't run and make plays with after the catch here. We're just seeing the jump balls and the hands plays right now on this tape. Runs really well. He's definitely a mismatch on the outside. You see the safety coming over the top there, couldn't get there in time. But repeatedly on this film, you're seeing 50-50 balls where he's making plays in the air and going up and using those ball skills. I like to see it like that film from the other side there to see how fast he's running in the open field when he's running down the field away from some of these guys. Maybe we'll get a clip like that here. But, yeah, this is definitely the bigger receiver in your receiver room. You see him opening up in the middle of the field there. You can see a little stride. I like when you see the big guy stride in the open field. It gives you an idea of how much ground they're eating up, and if they do have that breakaway big play ability to take the shorter route. But as far as I'm concerned, we need a couple big guys. You can't have a whole room full of 6'4" receivers, the same way you can't have a whole room full of 5'9" receivers, but you kind of got to get a couple of each. And I think the way we're building our receiver room, you're seeing some big guys in there, and you're seeing the true receiver mold of that 5'10", 5'11", 190-pound guy that's the route tree runner that has all the double moves and stuff like that.
As big guys, it would be great if you're a Buckeye fan, which most of the people on this probably are, to see Jeremiah Smith and Quincy Porter in your core of wide receivers together.
The classic X receiver that can line up in single coverage, and Ohio State is so talented elsewhere that you really don't want to double that guy, and so it creates almost a mismatch at every snap. You can line him up almost on the sideline and just have him go to work. He looked like a hands catcher. He was strong, but you mentioned it. When he opened it up, he's a long strider. They don't have many of those. But Jeremiah Smith is moving so quickly, I don't even know what his stride is. He's just breaking the time barrier. I tell you what, all right, Bill, let's talk about who's going to be there today, and then we'll read our next ad and get to all the great questions we have. So camp season's going on. Maybe give everyone a little bit of idea of what the plan is, kind of what you saw yesterday, what the expectation is for today. It is going to be a beautiful day in Columbus, and that does not hurt.
Yeah, they got camps this week, today and Thursday. One-day camps number 3 and number 4 out of 5. The first 2 have been great. I mean, you had a camp, first one June 5th, where they offered a scholarship to 6 new guys. That's a pretty good amount. And then they topped that on the next camp on June 6th. They offered scholarships to 7 more recruits. So today's camp is going to feature 2 quarterbacks in particular. And they've already offered both of them, Diabell from Florida and Brady Palmer, and Chip Kelly this spring offered a scholarship to both of those. There's going to be a running back that I think is going to be very interesting to watch. He's a 2027 guy out of Arizona. He got to Ohio State yesterday, started with a visit yesterday, and then he'll camp. That's Anthony Young out of Arizona, 2027. I'll be really looking at Brody Keefe, the wide receiver, 2026 out of North Carolina. He's going to work out, but he'll be a little bit limited because he's coming off a hamstring injury. But Ohio State offered him a long time ago, and he's a guy that I think is either going to end up at Ohio State or Tennessee. That's the battle right now. Tight end wise, there's going to be a really good one. J.C. Anderson out of Illinois. Offensive line, kind of the headline. One of the headliners for me is Kingston Kirchhoff out of the state of Washington. Certainly a scholarship offer candidate. In fact, there's going to be 4 really talented players out of the state of Washington at Ohio State today. David Schwarzel, he's a defensive lineman, is another one. Luwani from Washington, he's a linebacker. And a linebacker that I'm really anxious to see, Ohio State offered him quite some time ago, is C.J. Sibley out of that Buford High School program in Georgia. So C.J. Sibley today as well.
Buford has been very good to us. We know this. I'm going to read an ad here, and then we're going to tackle all these questions. We have a bunch of good ones, but you guys want to pay attention here. My guys, you ever lift a little too hard or just forget to apply your daily deodorant and get hit by a truckload of BO? Bill, does that 3-in-1 shampoo leave you needing a second shower just a few hours after the first? Mark, from the founders of Lumi, Mando whole body deodorant is helping men conquer their odor in a new way. Formulated with mandelic acid, not Kurelic acid, mandelic acid. Mando has long-lasting 72-hour odor control that actually stops odor before it starts. Best part is you can put Mando everywhere, and I mean everywhere. To top it off, Mando's cologne quality scents were created with men in mind. Pro tip, try their best-selling scent, Bourbon Leather. It's a game changer. Mando's starter pack is perfect for new customers. It comes with a solid stick deodorant, cream tube deodorant, 2 free products of your choice like mini wash and deodorant wipes, and free shipping. Luckily, I have a discount code to help you get hooked on my favorite smelling whole body deodorant on the market. New customers get $5 off a starter pack, with our exclusive code. That equates to over 40% off your starter pack. Use Bucknuts at shopmando.com, shopmando.com. It's time to smell better naked. Your partner will thank you. No more details on that. All righty. Let's hit these questions, and one that I knew we were going to get and I want to talk about because we all fell in love together here with Henry Fanuco as we watched him on tape. We thought he was coming, and he's going to Missouri. Bill, with Henry Fanuco committing to Missouri, do you see Ohio State now offering Jake Cook, or will they wait for McFadden, Strayhorn, and possibly DeBose's decision before giving out an offer? Your thoughts on the Fanuco situation leading into that question?
Cook and Fanuco are not that closely related in terms of offer and position, at least not for Ohio State. Fanuco was recruited by Ohio State, has been recruited by Ohio State as a guard. Jake Cook is a commitment to Louisville as a guard, possibly center, and possibly even right tackle, but most likely a guard at Louisville. Ohio State-wise, Ohio State is recruiting Jake Cook as a center. Again, I mentioned earlier in the show, 3 centers out there that Ohio State is going after. Stargell, who visited this past weekend. Strayhorn, who made an official visit to Ohio State the first weekend, May 31st. And then Cook, who has not made an official visit and to this point doesn't have an offer. But the relation there is between those 3 centers, and Fanuco was being recruited really for a different position by Ohio State.
All righty. Next question. I'll tell you what, Mark, you take this one. There's been a lot of questions about Drew Haddad. I'm not really sure why, but there has been a bunch. I mean, a bunch. Yesterday, there was a really long thread on the front row about it. I mean, I guess there's the obvious reasons why people question the guy in the secondary that looks like that. No comment. Pause. But if you do any research on him, this is not a surprise that he's a stud. This family is loaded with studs. Please take it away, Mark.
Yeah, I believe the question is Haddad and, even Eli Lee. This isn't video, those guys. Okay. Why are they not highly rated or whatever? Where their ratings end up. And we want all of our guys to be in the top 10 or 20 in the country, but that's not the way it's going to be. That was basically the answer you just flashed right there, is we need to stop rating combine stars and to start rating true football players. And I think in this business, and I'm as guilty of it as everybody, us scouts, we love those guys who run those fast 40s, and Bill and I will be there today standing there, and as a guy comes through with a great broad jumper 40 or an explosive score, we're going to fin all over them. But we need to do a better job of recognizing the great football players. And Haddad, when he comes into the box and he sticks his nose in there, that trait is as valuable as a 4.4 40. And same with Eli Lee. The way they'll stick their head into contact and lead with their shoulders and head, and the way they're knockdown tacklers, not drag down guys or pull down guys, that's where their rating becomes so special. Between the tackles, their instincts and Haddad's instincts, that's where they make up the difference between maybe an elite athlete who runs this crazy 40 time and themselves. Eli Lee running a 4.6, 4.7 is outstanding. Everybody wants these 4.4 linebackers and Micah Parsons and these guys that have jets in their shoes, and that's great, but you need football players. And when you look at those guys on tape, Eli Lee and Haddad, they're the best football players in the state of Ohio. You turn that tape on and you see the head snapping back, and sometimes those combine guys don't have those plays on tape. They run around and they chase guys down. I see an A.J. Hawk comparison, James Laurinaitis comparison. And what I was about to say, the way you make up that click or that half a step is instinct. So when you're in the box and you're reading and recognizing a play and you've already started in motion to the play, that tick you made up with that is what you made up for maybe your lack of foot speed. So a lot of these guys get to the ball with aggressiveness and desire, which overtakes any 40 time because you're not running a 40 in that box. It's all about short area quickness and aggressively fighting through things. And it's very hard to quantify those abilities in a rating. It's real easy to say we rated this guy because agility time and it's 40 time, but it's really hard to say, well, we rated him high because his nose is in there and he's instinctually better. It's hard to quantify that for fans. So there's my very long answer on the combine stars versus the football players. I'll take, if I had my own class and maybe you and I and Bill were building a class, I'd be fighting that we say, hey guys, if we're taking 20, please give me 5 guys that are football players. Just give me 5 guys. You can have all the height, weight freaks you want. I understand we need them, but I need a couple guys that are blue collar, locker room football players. So I think that's where these guys fall in there.
Also, in the case of Cody Haddad, he only played the last 4 games of his junior season. People didn't see him very much. That had a big, and he has not been one of those guys that go to a lot of various events, the Under Armour and all those things. He hasn't done that a lot. He only played 4 games, but boy, Mark and I have watched those 4 games, the tape and all. He's really good. And he had 4 interceptions in those 4 games against really, 2 of them were playoff games, state playoff games.
I think people are going to be alarmed when they see him play athletically. He's had relatives play in the NFL. There's Division I cousins and uncles and brothers and pros. He also ran track in the spring, and he runs very competitive times. He's a stud, dude. He is going to be a fan favorite too. I can guarantee you that. The guys who have that combination of athleticism and are willing to cut you in half on every play and run through you, we tend to like those guys as fans. Go ahead, Mark.
Yeah, I think, when you said these guys, aren't as fast, they're plenty fast. They're right there, but they're not that 95th percentile athlete that we all see in these combines and rank. There's some guys that are in the 50th percentile that are great freaking football players, and we have to realize that a couple guys are going to look like that every year as long as they're great football players, and that's what they are.
I get that. I'm just saying Haddad is not like, if you just saw his times and stuff, you'd have a hard time picking him out of a lineup and take that any way you want it. Let's go here. All right. Christopher Sowers, one of our best and most diligent, has a question that Bill could spend probably 2-3 hours on. Bill, do not spend 2 or 3 hours on this, Bill.
I'll be late for camp if I do.
That's a fact. All right, and where are we on time here? We're getting close. This is going to be one of our last ones. I know you can't get to them all, but do you think we have a chance to still get Sanders, Brew, Hill, McNutt, Autry. Which ones do you think we get, Bill?
The short answer is yes, they have a chance at every one of them still. Most of those guys haven't made their official visit to Ohio State yet. But as far as which Sanders, I think Ohio State or Tennessee are probably the leaders right now. Hill, I think Ohio State is Justin Hill. I think Ohio State's the leader for him right now. Autry, really hard to say. I think it's going to be hard to get him away from Auburn. I've said this before. He grew up in their backyard, but Ohio State's got a chance. He makes his official visit. McNutt, as I was told by someone that I really trust at Ohio State, it's anybody's guess where he's going to end up right now. But he has told me he's going to make an official visit to Ohio State, and there's 2 weekends left. So I would not be shocked if that official visit came the weekend of June 21st. But I guess he could always wait until the season, but I don't think he's going to do that. But it's hard to say where he's going to go right now. And by the way, Dan, I saw a question of the line by Pettijohn, Riley Pettijohn on there.
Texas, yep. I see it down here.
I think he's going to end up at a Texas or Ohio State. I think Texas is going to be hard to beat, but I think Ohio State's got a chance. And the question was, if they don't get Riley Pettijohn, who are they going to get? Well, the two big candidates are coming in this weekend for official visits. Madden Framo from California, and then you got the brother of the Browns linebacker. You've got Owusu Koromaya's brother. That would be Owusu Boateng coming in for an official visit this weekend. So those are the two big candidates right there. Notre Dame hosted both of them on official visits this past weekend, and they pulled out all the stops. Owusu's brother was there. One of your Cowboy linebackers, Jalen Smith, was there.
Don't say that.
They pulled out the stops. I think Ohio State is going to do everything they can this weekend to pull out the stops, and we'll see what happens.
Boy, Jalen Smith, that was just an awful experience as a Cowboys fan. And we paid him. I had one leg.
Did you ever?
He had one leg. What do you do? You got to one thing I like about football players to start. Two legs.
He was the truth for like a minute there.
No, he was. Listen, he got healthy. I mean, don't forget, he was one of the best linebackers in the country until Taylor Decker popped him at the end. Remember, at the end of that bowl game, popped his knee, destroyed his knee. He was projected to be like the third pick in the draft before that.
Yeah.
His brother came here. How'd that go? And then he was on the Cowboys too. Seriously. No, it was like when I went to UD and I didn't like the Reds and Chris Sabo, and I went home and they traded him right to the Orioles. So it was, they were just trolling me. All right, Bill, another good one. Offensive lineman, Bill. People want to hear about it. What are the chances we can get Josh Petty? Who's he again?
He is the offensive lineman from Georgia, and last I checked, he was the country's number 2, I think, offensive tackle behind a certain David Sanders. Josh Petty is another one that's coming in this weekend for an official visit. If you'd asked me 2 or 3 months ago, I'd have said zero chance. Justin Fry and Ohio State have done a great job recruiting him lately. I think Ohio State is probably in his top 2, top 3 at the worst right now, and this will be a big official visit for him, for the Buckeyes this coming weekend. Little bit undersized, maybe 6'4.5", about 265 pounds. That's if there is a question mark with Josh Petty, that would be the question mark. He's not as big, as long as you might like tackles, but he's good, and he's a guy that Ohio State will get their chance with this weekend.
All right. Let's see what we got here. We got about one question left. Who's going to get it here? Who do you got there, Mark?
This is Petty ready to go here if you want to check out the offensive lineman.
Even better.
I'm a fool for checking out offensive linemen if you haven't noticed. It looks like they have him playing defensive end on this clip right here, so you can see the type of athlete he is. Bill and I are such, recruiting robots that anyone – is this the right kid from Texas?
Probably not.
Josh Petty's from Georgia.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I think this kid is from Georgia. Roswell, Georgia, Fellowship Christian.
Yep.
Yeah, they have him playing defensive end here, which this looks like an offensive tackle over here playing defensive end. I think they probably show off his athletic ability.
Still.
Guys, like to show off what they can do on defense. But you see the long body. I was about to say, Bill and I are such recruiting robots that any tackle that isn't 6'5" or 6'6", we kind of plug into our computer and say that's not the prototype. But you can see by the way he's running around, the type of long athlete he is. He looks like he's a good 6'4", though, Bill. I think from this film, you can see the long arms. How many of our offensive linemen, if we put them over at defensive end and defensive tackle, would look like this? A couple. I mean, because this is pretty athletic for a big guy. He's probably a defensive tackle, not a defensive end if he had to play that in college. But that's what we're taking a look at here, is a guy who shows off his offensive ability by doing it on defense, because defensive guys are usually considered the better athletes, which is what we're seeing on tape here.
Bill, is that high school he goes to a little bit of a smaller school?
Yeah, it is. But again, Josh Petty, he's a really good player. He's just not 6'6", but I would take him in a heartbeat for sure. I mean, he is a really good Mark's talking about football players. Josh Petty's a really good football player.
Yeah.
I was just saying also, when you go to a smaller school, the chances that they ask you to go both ways increase dramatically. For example, when we talk about Buford High School, for example, not a lot of guys go both ways, and they don't go both ways full time. You go to those smaller private schools, that guy might be the kicker, you know what I mean, as well as the defensive end. So it's a challenge. All right, I think I got to let these guys go. They got to get to camp. We will be back here on Thursday, hopefully with a few more commitments in tow. You never know, but you want to follow the dean religiously.
You know what? Just for the heck of it, go back to this. They got him standing up a middle linebacker on this play. Well, right there. I mean, just to give you an idea, when you say smaller school and him playing everywhere, yeah. How often do you see an offensive tackle lined up?
I kind of like it.
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't move very well, but like you say, good football player. They're trusting him with a lot there. I didn't mean to digress, but as I was peeking at that, I'm like, I don't think I've ever seen a left tackle playing middle linebacker. So we gotta enjoy this clip.
All right, we can sit here and make fun of the Cowboys forever. We've proven that, and that just depresses me for the rest of the day. Here's a way to cheer yourself up for the rest of the day. Follow these guys. Follow the dean. I'm not going to tell you where Mark is. You'd probably hold it against him, but or where he was at least. The dean will be at Ohio State today with bells on. You want to follow the site, and you want to be premium to get his insight throughout the day. We appreciate everybody stopping by. Have a good one, Bucknutters.